Okay, we're going to start this thing off. I'm going to give you a nice intro, Joe, okay? Because you deserve it. Because today, my motherfucking guest is a legendary comedy club owner. And in a lot of ways, the Mitzi Shore of Canadian comedy, okay? In LA, Mitzi is the legendary club owner there. And in Toronto, we have a legendary club owner, and he's a male. And then the female top-of-the-line club owner has had some of the biggest acts in all of comedy, let alone Canadian, just all of comedy. And this year it came to an end, but that doesn't mean that not everybody was so happy to have been able to experience it. I'm sitting today with one of the greatest people in Canadian comedy, Joey, clandestine / fucking underground / whatever other names your comedy club has had. The owner of the Underground Comedy Club is what I call you in my head. Joey, thank you for being our guest today. How many years did your club exist for?
13.
Holy shit. 13 years, and tell us why it was special. Give us a little rundown of what made your club special.
Oh, I don't know. We just had a lot of fun there. Over the years, we had great shows. You were a big part of that.
You broke a very big rule in the world of club owning, which was you smoked weed in the comedy club. And that made you one of the only open comedy clubs in the world at the time that did that. You didn't just smoke weed. You had weed shows. You had a mushroom show that I attended a few times.
Yeah, a few of them.
A few of them where comics would do mushrooms, go up on stage and perform, and most of the audience was high too. Pretty wild shows. You had some pretty crazy guests that we'll get into throughout. Who's your favorite guest of all time? Your best favorite guest? You can watch them anytime at your club.
I can't.
Oh, you're such a club owner.
You're asking me to pick between my favorite fruit, and it just depends on the day, right?
Oh man. Okay. So who was one of your first big acts, Joey? Because you had a club for 13 years, and it wasn't always the big hotspot for the American comics. Once upon a time, it was our hotspot for little Canadian comics coming up on the rise. I'd never even been to the original one, which I heard was like a 10-seater. What was the original
30,
like?
yeah.
Yeah, it was
we
like
cram
a little
it, but first big act. Okay, it wouldn't be American, but he was legendary to me, Scott Thompson.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because I grew up watching Kids in the Hall.
I love Scott Thompson.
And I loved that guy too.
Isn't it great when you meet him? How nice and genuine he is.
I'm still like, my heart just skipped a beat thinking about that moment. Oh my God, Scott Thompson's in my room. Holy fuck, this guy's amazing.
Scott Thompson was in your room.
And then at the end of the night, he did his performance, and he's hanging out, and our friends Kim and Naomi and me were there quite late, and they're of course just talking away and just kept rolling more joints, and he's just chatting away.
He's a big pothead too.
Yeah.
Loves to smoke.
I remember sitting there like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, how do I deal with it? Like, I can't. And I remember just being like, this is fucking Scott Thompson. You stay the fuck up.
This is
wake
it. Yeah.
up.
Yeah, wake up. Go have a coffee. Go do something. Man, okay.
I was so honored that he hung out. And,
Scott is actually one of the nicest people too. Like, he's genuinely a celebrity, but he's also genuinely Canadian. He'll sit there, he'll talk, he'll smoke weed with you, he'll laugh. Do you remember anything specific from that night that you really loved?
You don't want to piss him off. He's definitely the kind of guy who's not just being like a fake typical Canadian. That guy got a sharp tongue.
Dude, he's got an edge to him. You're right. He's got so much edge.
So I would not be the one that would.
Man, he's such an artist too. Like, he's a real artist. When you meet him, you're like, oh my God, I get it. I get why you were so respected. He's a real leader in LGBTQ actors being like the lead in Canada too. Like, this guy was openly gay in the 90s. Man, Kids in the Hall.
Didn't give a fuck.
Is so edgy, even by today's standards. I watch Kids in the Hall on CBC Gem all the time. Shout out to CBC Gem. Man, they have every season of Kids in the Hall in HD. And Scott Thompson by far is my favorite. Not because I've got to work with him too a few times, but because of the characters that he chooses. He's real edgy. He's always talking about weed in the show. His characters are always weed driven. And then when you meet him, he smokes tons of weed. He loves it. And so he's your first guest. Who booked him? Somebody booked him like
Boyd?
Yeah, right?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, because they're friends for sure.
I'm pretty sure it may or may not have been that. But I think it was a fundraiser for Joanna Downey.
Oh, wow. What a great night that is. Holy shit.
I know he did that, but so I'm not sure if the night that he showed up first was the night that the fundraiser was at.
Isn't that cool that in Canadian comedy, somebody like Scott Thompson will really just drop in one night and be like, hey, can I do 10? And you're like, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you could do 10, Scott.
Actually,
you fuck.
Here's a segue. just before we closed the club, he showed up not too long ago and just came and say hi to me and got a beer and sat down at the comics table. And I don't remember who was running the show at that point. We're like, oh my God, do you think we can get him to do 10? I'm like, I don't know. You can ask. I don't know. He didn't say he was coming to perform. But go ahead and ask. And they asked, and he was like, no, honey, I'm just here to hang out. And I was like, yeah.
How
but
cool
also,
is that?
Like,
yeah.
Sorry to the producer, but I'm like, yeah, he's just hanging out here.
Man, when you're
just
at Scott
happen to be in
Thompson's
the
level, you
neighborhood.
can't just go up there and not be like, you just like, man, I'll just take the night off.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that he went to the club just to hang out.
Yeah. He was filming, I guess, and they put him up at the Drake, or not the Drake, sorry, the hotel near the club.
I know which one you're talking about there.
The New Broadview Hotel.
Yeah,
they put him up
it.
there. So he's like, well, of course I'm going to go here. And yeah. And actually, it was after legalization, and we were told to stop smoking weed. But at that point, we decided to cheat that night. So he was just like, sweet. Like,
man, you smoked weed illegally in your comedy club. Now, I want anybody who's listening to this who doesn't know Joey's history to know.
It's done now. We don't have to type
Joey
nothing.
had a motherfucking comedy club, guys. Like, you know, on a good night, 70, 80 people ramming the place, drinking, smoking weed, not cigarettes, smoking weed openly for years without a complaint. And then legalization happened and they began to crack down on you. It's like, buddy, where were you for 13 years? We were here smoking weed.
It's a gray area. They didn't have a bylaw person or a number to charge me with. Like,
and now
you're charged with section this and that. Here's your fine.
Did they ever come back more than once?
Yeah, they came back twice after that, and they happened to be clean that night.
And they just walked in,
and I just realized there's a pattern that they were there, you know, right when we opened. I'm like, they're not gonna show up at like fucking 11 o'clock midnight.
They always would show up around the time that you opened.
Yeah, as soon as we opened, they'd come in. I'm like,
so you let the first hour and a half.
Dumb fucking time to show up.
Hey, let's get them before they start fucking smoking.
Or maybe the bylaw officer was like, oh, if I get them, then I can get the paperwork in, and I won't have to.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how these things work.
Man, okay, fuck Joe, man. I started, there was a thing called the Mike Rita.
If I thought it killed people, I wouldn't let it happen. That's why.
Why?
Just saying, like, that's why we don't let cigarettes or blunt wraps. Because if to me, breaking a law, it's like I wear a mask often, you know, out on the street and definitely always inside. We didn't mask up today, but I cleaned up. I'm tidy. But in the end, I sort of feel like I have to be respectful because that's not like smoking in someone's face. I don't know. Man. That's why I disrespected the smoking bylaw because I didn't think we were hurting anybody.
The smoking bylaw was stupid. Everybody who came there was an adult, made the choice. Anybody who didn't want to be there would leave.
Would just go.
Okay? And they can go anywhere else. There's 5 other comedy clubs open in the city on any given. Scared the crap out of me.
That's Oscar.
Oscar, get back over here.
Get down.
That's the funniest thing you could have on a podcast is the dog freak out.
Yeah.
Because that means everybody who was listening, if they had headphones on right now, just had a small heart attack too. Or they think there's a dog attacking them.
Sorry, we didn't introduce the fact that
there's a dog in the room. Yeah, if you're not watching the audio, if you're only listening and you're not watching, there's a dog in the room. Okay, Joey, we're going to use that dog break. Choose a weed. Let's choose some weeds, okay? Here, grab a couple of things. We got, I don't know what we got here. We got sour diesel, zombie. There's so many sugar cookies. You can even smell it.
Maybe we should start with a sativa so we don't ruin the podcast.
Yeah, we can find that. No, here, this one looks pretty sativa-ish. Do you remember what was? Mint something?
Mint. All right.
I don't know about that smell. I don't like. It's too normal.
It does smell kind of minty though.
Does it? I didn't get it from it. That smelled so normal to me. I was like,
what's this? P Arrow,
Pink Arrow, I think it was, or something. Purple Arrow.
All right.
Smell that. What's that smell like?
Flowers.
That does smell like flowers. They like literally like roses and tulips.
Flower garden.
Man, some of these weeds.
This is definitely diesel-y.
Is it diesel-y? Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Whatever.
Okay, we'll start with whatever I got here. The Purple Arrow. We're smoking some Purple Arrow. Our weed person is a company called Cheap Canna. Shout out to Cheap Canna. That's literally the name of the company.
Cheap Canna.
Cheap Canna.
I've never even heard of them, and now I have. Thank you, Mike.
You know.
Now we're gonna judge your weed.
Cheap Canna, you fucks. Man, what's the best weed you ever smoked?
Oh man, it's like asking me what's my favorite comic.
Yeah. I'm asking you all the hard.
I do like a good salad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Putting 5 weeds together, you can never grow that.
Man.
You can't grow that.
When'd you
It's
start
still the
smoking?
same size joint, just tiny nuggets of each. So that's my favorite way to smoke.
When did you start smoking weed?
I'm kind of a late bloomer, but I grew up. Second half of high school is in Halifax, so you can only get hash there. So I actually never had weed until I was 22.
Because it was just hash
Because
and
it was
tobacco.
only hash and tobacco, which is an amazing high. It's just a different high. We do BTs.
I love BTs.
Constantly-
Plastic bottle? Do you guys have
constantly-
a bottle for it?
Yeah, we had a bottle for it,
Yeah.
and we'd have like hot knives. So if you want to
Man,
have
you know,
a
I did
tube
hot
ready to
knives
go
once
in
in
the
my
freezer.
life. I haven't
The
seen
original
those
dab.
I haven't seen. Yeah, those are the original dabs. I haven't seen an oven with coils in a long time. Like in our old apartments near Parkdale, all of them had them, but we just don't see them anymore. And man, hot knives, were they worth it?
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah, it was great, right?
Fuck yeah!
I did hot knives once as a teenager, and I can't remember whether or not I liked it because I was just too excited to be doing it. That the adrenaline was enough of a high.
I do
for me.
find that I still kind of do them. Don't laugh. I still have the same knives since college.
Come on.
I do.
That's really cool though.
I fucking still have this, and they're burnt. They're like black burnt and bent perfectly.
Shut up,
How can
man.
you can't throw that out, right?
No, man. That's
it just
awful.
sits in my weed kit, and I once in a while
I have
I
old
go
bongs that I
camping.
love. Of course, man. I have old pipes that I love. You can't get rid of that shit. What's your favorite way to get high though, Joe?
well, obviously joints, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like edibles, but I got to time that. I can smoke weed all day long and I'm fine. Just depends on the strain. So,
What do you mean time your edibles?
like I don't eat them before bed because I like to dream.
Yeah,
And
and
I like
no
to wake.
dreams.
I like to wake up in the morning without. But I don't. I sometimes have trouble falling asleep, but once I'm there, man, it can't wake me up. So an edible just gives me a 10-hour, 15-hour sleep. So sometimes I'll do that on purpose, though, if I really am having trouble sleep.
Eat
or
a
if-
big old edible.
Yeah.
Do you have edibles sitting at home that are like extra strong just so when you need them? Like, what's a good edible for you? 200, 250, or you need something bigger? you're like 500, Mike.
No, not even. Don't laugh.
What are you gonna?
I'll
give
take
me?
like 20 milligrams, but like
And you'll feel
every
good.
no, but like every half hour.
Oh, that's not that bad.
So I'll over the course of a day, maybe that might add up, but I'd never give me 500 milligrams at once. Oh my
Not
god!
right now. What about those?
No
There's people who
fucking
do
way.
that though. There's people who love that.
I just don't know where my brain would go, and I like to function. You know, like I don't want to wake up with pee all over me. I don't want to wake up like
Why is that the side effect?
3
of your
days
pod?
later. That's what 500 milligrams would do to me. But I could eat 500 milligrams
Throughout the day.
in a day if I just took it in small parts.
Man, I've done some of those heavy edibles and I can't do it. Like to the point where I've gotten sick even. And I smoke weed every day. I'll eat your cookies. I used to eat your cookies and just go perform. Who gives a shit? Man, you have world famous cookies, for sure nationwide famous cookies. Anybody who comes into town, they would want your cookies. How long did it take you to perfect a good edible cookie?
Oh, many years, but I keep kind of changing, honing the process. But
Why? What do you mean by
I don't work with extracts. I decarb real bud and grind it in like a spice.
Can you give me, and just imagine like, you're not talking to me. What do you mean by decarb your weed? What is that? Because a lot of people will just throw straight up shake or something into like a brownie mix. And
Decarb is just the short for decarboxylation, which is the big word that says that it makes marijuana, the way it's grown. It's not, you can't just eat it.
and feel a full high.
So that's why canna butter will work. This joint is decarbing it as we smoke.
As we speak. Yeah.
So yeah, you can decarb the weed before you cook it. But it's just most people do butter because it's easiest and you can't fuck it up.
When you make weed butter, so you what's that little thing called, that bag where you strain it through?
I don't like that, so I don't make weed butter.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'll take bud like this
Straight up bud like that.
and I'll decarb it in a toaster oven.
You mill it? Do you have to mill it?
I break it into little buds, so it's not dust yet. It's just tiny buds, and then I decarb it in the oven. But you got to kind of watch it, and
That's why you
suddenly there's this moment when if you don't pull it and
gonna
get
all
it off the
burn?
tray, you'll kill it. You'll kill it. Well, that's why it's easier to teach someone how to make cannabar.
Decarb a fucking pan of weed. Imagine, I would say, okay. You're gonna leave it in the oven for that perfect amount. Your place always smelled like decarbed weed.
Oh my God, it stinks when I do it.
Right? Yeah.
It smells like I'm smoking lots inside.
And you're just decarbing it.
But
man, that's so fucking funny.
You get high off that air too. It's kind of nice.
How come you don't like the weed butter?
Stinks. It's messy. I don't know. You can't get the sweet flavor I can out of decarbing the way I do.
Yeah, you have very little weed flavor in your edibles.
The green part of the bud is a lot of starch in it. So this method that I do converts the starch to a sugar.
Wait, what? The green part of the nug? Like the green, the actual green
All
of the nug?
plants have starch.
All plants have starch in their green, or just...
So you can sweeten that through that process. It's like browning butter. You know how brown butter for cooking? Do you understand that concept? You're sweetening it. So you're turning this, what's in it a little sugary by
cooking
adding
it a little
heat.
bit. Yeah. Holy shit, yeah, like when you cook sugar into caramel in that little process there. Jeez, you're tripping me the fuck out. See, this is good, because if I don't know this stuff, that means people listening aren't going to know this shit either.
It's really precise method, and you pretty much got to just sit. I do it in a tiny toaster oven so I can control the heat.
Little toaster oven, you put a little tray of weed in there.
And then I literally pretty much sit and watch it. Takes about 2 to 5 minutes.
Then that's how quick it is?
Yeah, and you got to pull it right away, and then I put it in the freezer.
What's the temperature of the little oven at?
About 250.
Wow, and only have like 2 to 5 minutes.
185, I think, is the starting point of where it melts, but I just do it a little higher.
You're tripping me out, Joe. I've never actually asked you any of this shit. I've known you for like 11 or 12 years now. I've never asked you once to just eat your cookies.
It's not that complicated. It's just precise.
Yeah,
that's all. But when you make weed butter, you just throw the weed in the crock pot, throw the butter in, put the lid on, keep it on low, and just walk away. You can't fuck it up.
And then you just strain it.
You can fuck it up. You turn the heat up too high, you can fuck it up. Or the longer you do it, the more the chemistry converts. So a 2-day butter is different than a 2-hour butter. The chemistry changes. So that's what some people swear, oh, you got to do it overnight.
Did somebody teach you all this stuff when you first started getting into it? Like when you first started getting into cooking?
Give me the first tip is Jim. You know Auntie Jim?
Jim?
Yeah, he was my mentor. But he says I taught him. I don't know. But no, I think he was my mentor. But he says the other. But we worked at the Toronto Compassion Club together, and we both baked there.
Jim.
Jim. He taught me the decarbing method versus butter.
I didn't know Old Man Jim's been around like that.
No, not Jim. Dab Jim.
Oh.
Auntie Jim.
Who's that?
Jim. The older gay guy that's always at every event and hangs with Naomi. You fucking know.
I know who he is. I'm just zoning out right now.
You're zoning out.
Because I kept thinking Dab Jim. I'm like, Dab Jim has been around for that long?
I can't believe you're stoning out. Sorry, Auntie Jim.
Sorry. Yeah, I know, because I probably met you a million times.
Yeah, you have. 100%.
Oh, my God. And I'm like, who the hell is this old gay man teaching people? Man, our community is one of the coolest communities for that. Cool old people. Like, how old?
Oh, we got the best old people.
Man, Naomi is like 90 years old.
No,
not really,
that
but like.
Old. She's in her 60s.
I always say.
She's so wise, you know.
Dude, she glides through. We have a. I'm gonna tell the people at home that we have a like 65-year-old, a nurse, who has been a pothead for like 40 years, and when you meet her, she is like literally 90% hemp. She is all hemp, recycled hemp. Fucking Naomi, the shit. So that guy teaches you how to decarb.
You know that guy.
Yeah, I do know him. I'm like, yeah, this guy is. This guy is literally at a million events, constantly part of the same group of people. Sorry, Jim. Jim's gonna watch this one day and be like, I've said hello to Mike Rita a million times.
This is Jim, and he's awesome, guys.
He is awesome. He's one of the older, cool cats. He's not even older. He's like in his 60s too, probably. Oh. Probably cool as shit.
You know what? I'm going to say once you pass 50, I really shouldn't bring up numbers. Doesn't matter.
I'm okay with that.
No.
He's just the older, cool dude.
Yeah, he's been a big influence in Toronto cannabis community scene. Anyway, that's who.
Man, Toronto cannabis community. Now that you've said that right now, I'm going to bring this up. You are one of the hubs for the community once upon a time. Everybody I know, including the former CEO of 7 Acres and other people of that level, were people that I met in your back room. People were doing dabs in your fucking back room as far as 2008. So that would be, 2008. I'm 18 years old, 19. I start coming to your room as a young comic. People were doing dabs at the time. It wasn't even dabs. It's like a wax type stuff. And they would do it on something like it was a hot rock and a tie swing, like a little like flat piece of metal. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the swings would go on the bong.
That's right.
And then you heat up the piece of
like a little piece
tie that you could see was hand cut.
Yeah, that was hand cut and just wound
and swing
around.
It down and put your dab on.
Dude, people were doing swing arm dabs 2008. This is pre anything, man. This is so fucking...
dab culture's come a long way. Because that was kind of gnarly back then.
That was super gnarly. I didn't, man, those guys would warn me for like half an hour before I could do the dab.
Actually, I remember the first time I saw a dab just on the top of a bong, like, where you got the little bowl that holds it, that design. I was like, how does this work? I don't understand. I just couldn't get how the physics of it worked.
Do you remember some of the first people bringing, not weed oil, but the other form of concentrate? Like, who were some of the first people in our scene that you can remember bringing around what is now considered like shatters or that kind of stuff? Do you remember?
This guy, Shane.
Shane!
I wore
what a funny thing. You're wearing a shirt today. Holy shit.
I purposely wore. We can never forget Shane King.
Okay, shout out to Shane King, the whole King family. We did a whole crazy party where I was on stage like half crying with the audience one night. We did like a whole thing where we just yelled for 5 minutes for him because he's not the type of dude who wanted a moment of silence. He'd be so pissed if we just sat there quietly. Like, dude, we lived a crazy life. I can't sit here quietly. Shane King, 100% was one of the original dabbers. That guy was bringing
But towards the end, he didn't dab. He was not an anti-dabber, but he just stopped dabbing.
I think he realized the effects of long-term dabbing.
Amber will know.
Man, I'm actually against long-term dabbing. I think you should dab like the way you drink alcohol, like a liquor or something like that, like where it's sparsely and it's not the thing that you just do. Because
it depends on some people.
Man, I started suffering from some pretty serious paranoia, man.
Who I did notice that really it helps a lot is people who did drugs.
Yo, 100%.
And it's simply, and that's because you've got gear, you've got stuff to do.
Man, how funny is that? You're weird. Fiddling and you're like,
you're fiddling, but it's a healthy fiddling. And that's the one thing I noticed, that you never ask someone who used to do drugs, like especially crack or crystal or freebase coke or any kind of hard drugs, who's trying not to do drugs. Don't tell them they can't dab, because that is a one for sure person. You can just see like the fiddling.
Man,
and
let them have all the dabbing.
And they could just dab all they want.
And they're not going to be hurting nobody.
And they're not going to hurt nobody. And
except their wallet. But even nowadays, dabbing isn't even that expensive.
Well, I think a lot of those guys make it themselves. Anyway, but that's one thing I would notice. But someone like me, man, I find it makes me crazy.
It makes me crazy.
I need the whole joint. I need all of the plants.
Man, it makes me crazy. I was pro dabbing for like 3 years. And then my brain started, when I was too high on dabs, I could let myself go to places where I never wanted to go. And even when I would try to control it and stuff like that, it would lead to deep paranoid thought where I was worried about who I was as a person, but in a paranoid perspective and not of one of true self like reflection. I wasn't looking at myself and being like, wow, I'm a piece of shit. I was just paranoid. Am I a piece of shit? Do I not do enough? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't actually doing anything wrong. I was just living my fucking life. It's just as damaging, thinking that, oh my God, I should be doing more. I was paranoid that I wasn't doing enough as a father. I wasn't doing enough as a partner. I wasn't doing enough as a comedian. And in reality, I'd realized that only happened when I used to sit there for 3-4 hours and get like 10 dabs in. Danielle would come in and be like, Mike, you okay? And I'd be like, what? I haven't heard noise in 3 hours. Just the sound of the dab and the torch. Man, dabbing is fun if you get like a gram once in a while and like you're like, nighttime, you're watching a movie.
And when it is good?
Yeah.
Period day.
See?
Sorry.
No, you don't got to be sorry, man.
Guys,
I want that open kind of shit on the top. Anybody listening to this, do a dab on the day of your period, your cramps, your moodiness.
Extra edibles and high concentrations. I don't have shitty periods anymore.
No.
Oh, there he goes again. Oscar. Come here.
What a freaking nugget, man. Oh, that's good though, man. Well, we're gonna do a quick commercial break. No, I'm just joking. We're gonna take a break right now. We'll be back after these messages with our dog treats. Yeah, the dog's down, man. This dog knows what's up. Dog, I like getting high with dogs. When we were kids, we were teenagers. We'd hotbox with my boy's dog all the time. We tried to hotbox with a cat one time, nearly killed us. Just started freaking out. Closed the door, started smoking, and within 5 minutes, you could
let me in.
let me out. He was in the hotbox. He wanted out.
Yeah.
And then cats are not down a hotbox. One time
I think some animals just don't like the smoke.
Man, birds don't like the smoke.
But they're okay with being high, but they're paranoid of smoke.
We got a bird.
He's kind of funny about it.
And the bird wouldn't fly for like 10 minutes. Just walked around on Buddy's house. But we did
must have been a teenager.
Yeah, we were teenagers. We were like 13, 14. Grade 9. So you're like 13, 14. We held the bird and we blew smoke in the bird's face. Just like that. And we put the bird down and he just walked around. I could just see him right now, just walking around, and all of us being terrified for a solid like 5-10 minutes, and then eventually we put him on so Jeffrey puts him on his finger, and he's like, "You okay? You okay, Birdie?" And the birdie starts kind of just moving around, and we put him in the cage, and about an hour later he was good. But for like 10 minutes, we just let him walk around. Birds don't take good to weed; they're just too little. There's little lungs, just can't handle it. Cats hate it. Dogs love it. You ever get like you can give dogs CBD nowadays? Nobody gives a shit. That's like an open.
That's at most pet stores.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
It's not cheap. They're fucking $65 for a little bottle.
And what do you put
at the pet store? I don't know.
If you were to give your dog CBD, how would you do it?
The only time I did was my last dog, Mars, because he had cancer when he got old.
Mars was so sick near the end.
He was so sick, and I just started giving him RSO, actually, too.
You gave him RSO?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So can you imagine you cured him,
I think he lasted a good year after they told me he had cancer. I'm like, he should have died earlier. I'm pretty sure it helped him. I didn't give him a lot. I didn't give him a lot. It was very...
How long was Mars the club dog?
Well, I got him before the club, so.
You got him before the club?
Yeah.
Mars was there forever.
Well, he was 15 when he passed.
Oh, okay. Mars is what, like a little pit bull or something? What is Mars?
Yeah.
Just a little gray. Brindle. A brindle.
He's brindled.
He was a brindle pit bull.
He's beautiful.
The best dog. He was what we call the comedy club dog. So he hung out in the comedy club. And man, there was many times where we were on stage and this little motherfucker would start barking at you. If you got too like, you were acting out a thing on stage, you're getting real loud or he would just run up on stage, just scare the shit out of you. And everybody in the club would laugh their heads off. He'd get his own little applause break and just walk away super fucking happy. Man, Mars.
Didn't happen very often. What he
there was
did
one
do,
more
though,
other dog too. Who was the second dog?
Fifi.
Fifi.
Yeah, I couldn't put her in the club too often because she
got pretty rowdy.
Really fucking wanted to be on that stage.
Yeah. Fifi came on stage, man.
There was one time where she broke free. I brought her to the club, but she broke free of the front room.
Wow.
Because I used to keep her behind the bar with just a little gate.
Oh, I thought she broke out like she ran away on the streets.
No. She ran in. She heard that there was like some madness going on in the back. And what it was is Bobby Knopf was doing a sketch. And he had a balaclava and a gun, and he was popping the cap gun. And she was like, I gotta be involved.
Oh,
and she like leaped over the counter and ran into the back room, ran up on the stage, and like grabbed the gun out of Bobby's hand.
No way.
She was like, arr. And he's like, get the dog off Peg. He just brought the dog into the sketch and started pretending like that they had.
Bobby has been at the club for a long time.
But the audience didn't know that was. They didn't realize that the dog wasn't part of the robbery. He just threw it in, improv'd it.
Yo, okay. Fuck it. God. I'm gonna go deep. Let's focus on your club for a little bit, okay? I know that you're really humble, but I'm gonna get you to not be so humble about your club. We're gonna talk about everything, okay? Because you had multiple Joe Rogans. You had a whole bunch of A-lister comedians before they were giant comics drop in. You had Jesselnick and who? Man, name. Give me like a good solid little list of names right now.
All right. Well, other than the ones you mentioned, Eric Andre, Tom Segura, Duncan Trussell, Ari Shaffir. Fuck. I can keep going.
I know you can actually keep going. Listen, I'm gonna pretty much say any comedian who's on Netflix right now. Before
Tony Hinchcliffe,
dude,
Brian Redman.
Yes, look at those
Todd
names.
Glass.
Oh my, Todd Glass.
Greg Proops.
Man, it just keeps going. The
Sam Tripoli.
Man, these A-list American comedians got wind. One year they just started getting wind of there was this secret club in Canada that you could do when you were in town where everybody smokes weed in the place and it's a hoot. And then you started getting attention. I was there the first year Rogan came by. I was such a young comic. and we were in the back, and do you remember how many people you stuffed in your club that night?
We guessed around 137.
137 in a room that fits comfortably what?
65. I mean, 80. It was pretty cramped. There's people all over the floor.
All over the floor, walls.
I had 5 friends just behind the bar, as well as like the people that were trying to work, and there's no space to have 5 people behind the bar.
Listen, okay, I'm going to buckle in everybody right now. We're going to tell a 10-minute fucking story about this night because
we got crashed.
Man,
like there was people in there that weren't ticket holders. People just sneaking in the back door.
Sneaking in back doors. People sneaking in with their friends. Yeah, we have a group of 4.
But they were all friends of ours or comedians. It was all the people that actually paid for a seat got a seat.
Got seats, and then everybody else was sitting
just
around
crashed it and just sat on the floor.
So show starts around what, like 8 or 9? Because Joe doesn't come on till like midnight, so there's so much in between.
Probably 9 or 9:30. The first one was the second one was a bit longer.
Was it the second one that was really long? Oh, one of them was so long. Okay, so the second one is the one I'm thinking of.
And then there was the third one, which we call the No Rogan night, which is when Jesselnick came in his place.
That's pretty funny, man.
Because Rogan was trying to, we just couldn't get a hold of him, and I guess they kept him at interviews till like 1:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, and then he called it a night. I remember that.
Anyway, long story short, but Rob had managed to get, Rob Mayu was running that night, and he managed to get Jesselnick to come over, and I was like, this is almost better.
Because he was super hot at the time.
I already had Rogan, and like,
Jesselnick was like on fire. He had been doing the roasts at the time.
And he was the nicest guy.
Yeah. Anthony Jesselnick is very nice
really
in real life.
Nice.
You could never imagine that this really rude comic on stage when you meet him, he's like, hey, pleasure to meet you, buddy. Hey, yeah, he's really, really nice. Shout out to Anthony Jesselnick. He's a comics comic, which means on stage he's got this huge personality, and off stage he's just very quiet and calm and normal and not like...
No, just really, really a pleasant
doesn't
guy.
need to be the center of attention when he's off stage or any kind of that kind of shit.
Very
Listen,
polite.
let's get into this Rogan story. So obviously, if you've ever watched the Joe Rogan podcast, when he talks about Toronto, 99% of the time he's going to bring up Joey's Comedy Club. Why does he do that? Because anytime he's ever showed up, it becomes a crazy party. Joey used to have a back room behind the comedy club that nobody went into, but when Joe Rogan would come into town, you would clean it up, open it up, and there'd be like little couches, just a little area behind the stage where it would become a green room for the comedians. So only like the really close comics with Joey would be allowed in. So fuck, man, I got lucky, man. I got lucky when I was performing. I performed twice that night because he took so long to get there, and we were pretty much running out of comics. Okay, so I went on like second in that show, and then I ended up doing another 5 like 3 hours later. Okay, so show starts at like 8:39. Okay, 8:39. Joe Rogan doesn't get there till like midnight, almost 1. And so all night you and I are hanging out in the back. You're so cool, Joey. You asked me that night to roll a joint for Joe Rogan when he got there. Do you remember that? Because I was a good roller. You and I were smoking all night. And when Joe got there, he wanted to smoke. And you kind of just tapped me. You're like, Joe wants to smoke. Can you roll a joint for him? And I was so nervous, I didn't roll it like a cone. I rolled it like a cigarette. And when I passed it to him, he almost lit it backwards. And I had to go, no, Joe, it's backwards. And he took it out of his mouth. He was like, thanks, kid. And then after that, he gave me like this thanks, kid. Because I was 18 or 19 at the time. So fucking young. If you don't know about my background in comedy, I pretty much left high school and became a stand-up comic. And right away was like taken under the wings of a bunch of cool comics. So Joe and I got to hang out that night. Somebody special shows up that night. This is so before we get to that part, the show is 3 hours long. The club went from being a normal room temperature room to like a small oven because it's overpacked, 160 in a room of like 70. So fucking hot. Everybody's in there. It's steaming fucking hot. And then while all of this is going down, we're like 20 comics deep. The Iron Sheik shows up.
Yeah.
And we're all chilling backstage with the Iron Sheik. And now it's me, Joe Rogan, the Iron Sheik. I'm like 19. I'm like way in over my head right now. I'm like, the Iron Sheik is here. I remember calling my brother, who was a big wrestling fan. And I was like, Gary, the Iron Sheik is right here right now. And he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, yeah, listen. And I kind of just put my phone like near him. And my Iron Sheik was going, oh, yeah, you don't know. But I beat the shit out of Hulk Hogan right now if he was. And we're all in the backstage going, ah! This guy, still a showman. If you gave him any time about wrestling, he would bad talk Hulk Hogan. So fucking funny. Joe Rogan shows up. So now Joe Rogan shows up. The Iron Sheik is there. Iron Sheik went on stage that night. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what happened?
I was literally serving people.
Yeah, I was going to say,
busy.
So
and all of a sudden he goes on and I just see You know, this guy, he's yelling.
He's yelling, that's right.
But
he's
he
yelling.
took his cane and he's throwing it in the air. He's like, wow.
And then, so there's a plant in the audience.
Just stop.
One of his managers was a plant in the audience. So one of his managers, who's his twin, runs into the audience before he comes on. Nobody knows that it's him. Yeah, exactly. So one of those guys runs into the audience while Iron Sheik is on stage. He's yelling about Hulk Hogan. 30, 40-year-old men crying, watching like their childhood wrestling dude on stage like a foot away from them, yelling in their face like, you look like Hulk Hogan, I'm gonna beat you up right now. And everyone's just going, ah. So the guy who's the plant, nobody knows that it's actually his manager, gets up from the audience and goes, shut up, Iron Sheik, you're old and you're washed up and you don't got nothing left. And the Iron Sheik cracks him in the head with his fucking cane. And the guy drops on stage and the underground comedy club just goes insane. The whole place is shaking. I think you had people who lived upstairs, those poor people. Oh my God. This guy, I'll never forget, one of the greatest stories of my life I got to hang backstage with Joe Rogan and the Iron Sheik. I was watching them smoke weed together, laughing. Joe Rogan asked me to roll a joint for him because you gave him a cool package of like 20 nugs and edibles and shit. Oh my God. Joe Rogan comes on at like midnight. The whole place goes crazy. He does an hour. It's all about, he was already doing woke shit before that was like a thing. A whole night he talked about like deep state and America's politics, the politicians being pedophiles, and how could they not be pedophiles? What would you do if you were rich and had like all that time? It was so funny. He was so great. What are your, because you serve, so you have a completely different perspective than me. What do those nights mean for you as a club owner?
There's what you get out of it. You might get a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, because I'm not working. I'm getting
because
to be.
You're not working and you're focused on it, but also because you're a stand-up comic.
Yeah. Fuck that man.
But what I would see is that joy in everybody, and watching a room full of people just get fired up. There's a smell of pheromones in the air that happens. People just get really elated. And then their hot box just glues it all together.
The hot box.
I don't know. You don't feel isolated in your laughter.
Oh my
you feel
God,
like
the
you've
hot
melted
box.
into a singular unit.
We were a singular unit that night. We
like
laughed.
Yes,
man.
Like the performer and the audience and the venue and what's going on, and is it anyway?
Man, all of that kind of stuff.
That's what I get off on.
Well, because everybody leaves eventually, and it's just you in the club. After everyone's gone, it's you a couple comics.
I've seen people having this fantastic time in my room, but the comic was shitty, and I'm like, they're having such a great time.
And the comic and the show is kind of shit.
The show is real kind of shit. Or sometimes when you have someone fucking brilliant up there and the audience isn't responding.
Oh man!
But what it is when you have it all, when everyone's happy to be there. I don't know. That's the moment I like. I want that one.
Yo, man, you moved your club around a bunch too, because it was like so different when I first started going there.
Well, no, just. Oh, you mean it's the furniture?
The furniture.
Oh, I thought you meant. I'm like, no.
Because you had a kitchen originally right in front of the stage, like a little couch, and then a bunch of chairs to the right.
Yeah, that place kind of came with that room, so we used it as that, and then I realized that was not functional.
That's what the room was. It was just like a back empty room.
It was a giant garage. And so I just
You turned a giant garage into one of the best comedy clubs in Canadian history. Arguably the best.
Why do you think there was all that fun crap on the wall? Just to hide the flaws of being in a garage.
Yeah, it felt like a room.
I want crown molding in the next place, motherfucker.
So much more nicer and different. You're like, fuck that.
I don't want to have to hide the flaws. I want.
Oh my God, Joe.
But yeah, that's why I would line like certain corners, or I put fake plants, because the corners would be, crooked.
Yo, how much shit did you have?
The floor really sloped.
You must have had a solid 10 or 20 boxes of things on your walls there when you took everything down.
Well, a lot of it got auctioned off. Some of the stuff I kept. And then a lot of stuff just got put out on the street. You'd be surprised what people pick up on Queen Street.
Yeah, you just
Little
put out
curb
random
alert.
stuff.
Yeah, I put it out like hours before garbage pickup.
And they took it all.
Oh, it was always gone. So, you know, I didn't keep most of the furniture from the club. I didn't keep
those chairs and shit.
I kept the throne.
Did you? Okay, throne's good. What about those little table chair things that like the?
Okay, the 4-seater tables I kept.
Those are great. You can use those forever.
And yeah, I don't necessarily intend to have them in the new club in the comedy space.
Are you gonna keep them because they have all those cool like little cutouts inside of them?
That, but also the next club I want to have a kitchen in the front because I would have survived COVID if I had takeout food.
Wow, cool.
Comedy died. We're in stage 4. You can't have live performance till the end. Still not allowed to have live performance. Here we are, 6 months into the quarantine?
Bush.
But if I had takeout food and had a really good reputation, I would have struggled, but I would have made it.
You could like Uber Eats it and shit like that.
Yeah, and there would have been how many of my stoner and do you know what? I just put cookies on the menu. I could have just done so well, and people just like having a delivery service.
Man,
come and do pickups.
You could do the Weed Maps thing. Everybody talks about that, but man, Weed Maps is so legit. I got ripped off already.
I don't need that venue also to make cookies. It would have been more that like if the place was set like the way Comedy Bar is set. I like that. They have a front room that you can
where you can just hang out.
Or how you go to the Horseshoe or the Rivoli. You always have that
Rivoli's
bar in the
gone.
front.
You know
yeah,
what,
I
man?
heard that.
Rivoli was on its way out.
I think they just sold it though. I don't think it's going. I think it's just changing hands. That's what I thought.
Nah, man. Rivoli doesn't have the same vibe, man.
A lot of shit's gone. Like 1 in 5 restaurants closed in the last. Oh man.
Hey.
Whatever.
What?
I just like eating.
Do you think comedy clubs that are weed comedy clubs will be a normal thing someday?
I'm really surprised they haven't outlawed passing joints
during
this whole crisis.
You're like, Mike, Rita, you think they were going to be going forward with like that shit like that?
Pretty surprised about that one, but...
It's because potheads don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they're not going to listen to that, but I'm sure it got brought up in a board meeting somewhere.
I'm sure somebody was like...
It was on Zoom going, you know what, we got to think about, anyway, all these different things they have to think about. How many times a day we touch our face. Anyway, long story short, I think that it's going to be all of our businesses are going to be like there's going to be new health inspections because of COVID. We got to make sure all the surfaces are cleaned. We got to make sure that there's this and that. And I was in Winners the other day and it was like what, like corralled everywhere and like they have a plastic shielding on everyone and really friendly girls giving you squirty hands.
You went to Winners, man? I haven't been clothing shopping. What? Holy shit.
I went to Home Depot in the mall at Gerrard Square and I was like, you know what? Winners is open. You never know what you're going to get.
I love Winners. So. Shout out Winners and Marshalls. Both these fucking low priced, random. You don't know what the fuck you're going to find. I don't know how the hell they choose that shit. Hey, you have 36 size 36 pants. Here are 700 styles of size 36 pants from designers or random fucking Japanese pants.
They did have like rows of Birkenstocks, really nice ones. Like those are $150 shoes, and then there they are at $30, but only size like 5.
Or 14
girls.
Or something.
Or like they're all really or weird patterns. So that's Winners though.
Yo, Winners always has mixed made shit. Like you buy the shoe and you put it on, you're like, oh, it feels weird. Hey, that's why it's here.
I have to segue though, because you wanted me to show off.
Yeah. What do you got?
These are the shoes that I got.
Yo, we're gonna punch in on that. We can probably punch in on that.
Hello,
these are amazing.
Everyone. My shoes.
Where did you get those? Can we give them a shout out?
Shout out to Baggins in Vancouver, Baggins. Baggins.
And they have these shoes.
They have the best Chuck Taylor collection that I've seen. I know I don't look sexy, but
nobody cares about that. Do I have Chucks on too? Yeah, we both have Chucks on.
Ooh,
see that?
Mine got weed leaves. Are you jealous?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love those. You're definitely going to see me get those shoes because I'm a piece of shit like that. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they have them in men's sizes too. That's what Converse does. Both. It's the same shoe for both of us. It's great.
Well,
anyway, they have also other great shoes too. But yeah, they had all kinds of stuff too. Like
I would love those in black
Andy
and white.
Warhol shoes, or they had National Geographic shoes with stuff on them.
Baggins. I like the National Geographic shoes. I see them on my Foot Locker ads. Foot Locker gets me good. Foot Locker is advertising to me all the time. Oh my God, are you getting a shot of the sweet dog just fucking chilling? The dogs, man, I always forget the dog's here. So is the person listening. Joey, man, let me focus back on the club. Because I have to, like, and if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
His weed is very ADD, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's crazy,
You and I are both segueing like mad.
Well, that's what happens, man. I've actually, like, our producers even told me once, they're like, if you get too high, you get all dotty with your shit. It's pretty funny. It's okay. It's okay. We'll just keep rolling because everybody listening is pretty much getting high while they do this. So it's good because they'll stop listening for a little bit. And then when they come back in, they're like, oh, they're on a new topic. Right on. Let's just keep moving on. But, okay, our new topic isn't really a new topic. We're going back to the comedy club world because you also were a host to the secret underground world of psilocybin mushroom shows, magic mushroom comedy shows where people would eat some chocolate. Sometimes they'd eat some. I went on stage one time and had the set of my fucking life. I headlined. I did like 20, 25 minutes, just ripped on shrooms. Do you remember that? And my first like 3 minutes was all about how we were in the underground, and I pretended to be like a miner. And I was digging a hole. I was like, "We're in the underground. This is the." And it was the audience knew that I was ripped, so we all went for this wild ride. I had some of the best sets of my fucking life at your comedy club, man, because of shit like that. Those mushroom shows where you just learn how to be an artist.
You gotta have it well timed, and you can't take too much, but it can definitely. Actually, here's a fun fact. Boyd Banks, when he got up one time and he had notes that he'd written he was gonna, and then halfway went, fucking shrooms are kicking in, fuck the notes. And he just went off like Boyd Banks and his brilliance. And that cured him, that exact night cured him of ever needing notes again. And you've noticed after that, like not for professional sets, for his
just
tryout
working
sets.
On and shit.
Man,
is Boyd Banks the funniest comedian to ever do your comedy club? Is he the person who probably got the biggest laughs ever, just constantly?
Yeah, he's pretty consistently funny.
Man, Boyd Banks.
Stop asking me who's my favorite. Gosh.
Of course he's your favorite, but Boyd Banks is not just your favorite.
I have got a huge soft spot for Boyd, though.
Listen, man.
Also, I'm a zombie movie fan, and he's in two
And he's in a bunch, I know. Okay. Boyd Banks, if you're listening to this and you don't know who he is, look him up. He's a Canadian legend. He's literally been in anything that's Canadian made ever, but he's also like a big zombie dude. He had his own figure because he was like something the Butcher. What was his name? Something the Butcher.
He's got an action figure. The Butcher.
It's called The Butcher,
in
right?
Land of the Dead.
In Land of the Dead, okay? He's got his own action figure from Land of the Dead because he's the Butcher character in that. But Boyd Banks also used to do these like nudie shows. Didn't he do the nudie shows too?
He started our naked shows, but now he won't do them anymore because the only time he would do it is if we gave the money to Joanna Downey. Then he'd get naked for us.
That's funny.
But his act, he would come out with just like black socks tied up and a xylophone, and he'd take his schlong and hit the xylophone, and I at the sound bar would hit play, and we'd pre-recorded songs.
No,
but people didn't know that, so they thought like his dick was making the noise.
That's
like, he's so good.
This guy's unbelievable. Boyd Banks is a legend, man. Boyd Banks would do a joke.
But we do. These were also they were fuck, now you just caught me high and I can't remember what I was gonna say.
It's okay. I'm gonna just take over for a second
just
while you
do
think.
it.
Boyd Banks is a legend not because of the level of humor he would produce, but the style in which it was. And I'm gonna explain he would tell a joke. It was probably 2 minutes long, and he would finally get to the punchline. When he got to the punchline, you thought that that's what the punchline was. But really what it was the introduction into 5 minutes of punchlines and him going back to the original concept and stretching it out. This guy would make he wasn't satisfied until he was like making you cry laugh sometimes. Like if he was on a roll like that and he could see that you were on the brink of cry laughing as an audience. We're talking like 50 people, 60 people in a room losing it, cry laughing, rolling around, and he would be stretching it, and a woman and a monkey clawed her face, and he would just do these jokes, man, where you'd cry laugh. Boyd Banks is your favorite. You got a soft spot for him. What's your favorite Boyd Banks story? Truly, is it the xylophone one, or is there one that really sticks out there? Like, man, this fucking guy.
Probably out of something he did.
Yeah.
Well, that one's pretty epic. How about the time when we got a stripper for Naomi, and the stripper was really shitty, like really shitty. So Boyd's like, "You call that fucking stripping? He didn't even take his cock out. Fuck that guy." Blah, blah, blah. And then he got up and basically did a striptease, made Naomi get up on the throne chair on the.
No, he didn't.
And he did, and he wouldn't let any of us watch. But you could hear he was
slapping.
And she's like, "Oh fuck!" But she wasn't. She didn't. It's you know.
Does he have a long old man cock?
Yeah, it's pretty big. I don't like admitting that, but
I've heard the legend.
Just
it's just a giant old man cock. Boyd Banks walking around with a hog. Yo, everybody listening, and when you Google Boyd Banks, Google him again, because now you know that he has a giant hog.
That's not going to come up though. That's the weird part about. You'd think that he just never brag about that. Never was a. He's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm tall too. He'd say.
I'm also tall.
Like that, it didn't faze him.
I don't even know if Boyd Banks knows my name, and I've probably hung out with Boyd Banks over 30 times in my life. But every time we've ever hung out, we're completely annihilated. Hey, what's going on? He's so nice. I don't think he knows my name. That's so funny.
No, he just forgets.
Yeah, of course. He doesn't even, it's not his fault. I don't give a fuck. I don't want him to know my name. I feel like that's more respect. If he did know my name, that means I fucked up. Who else is it? Other than that, what are some of your favorite memories over the years? Just genuine memories.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Give me a couple. Some of them that really stick with you. Some of them that make you cry when you think about them. Some of them that are really touching.
It was my cop stripper night.
Your cop stripper night?
Actually, Boyd was involved in that night. And my friend, Tracy Curley.
Classic. The legend.
Well, the two of them kind of teamed up that
Tracy.
For my birthday, I should have got a stripper.
Yeah.
That, I know. So they managed on the internet to find a cop stripper willing to come over. It was like 11 o'clock when they started Googling.
And Buddy came over.
Yeah, happened to be in uniform. He already had just stripped for someone else's party or something. And he came straight over. Didn't come to the 1 o'clock. And what they did, though, is that they kept me in the dark about this whole thing.
So this guy shows up. You think it's a real cop?
Yeah, Tracy comes out. She's like, "Oh, Joey, you better fucking come out here. There's a cop out here." I tell this story all the time. You never heard this story?
I've never heard this story.
Are you kidding?
No, I've
Man,
never
it's
heard
one of my stage stories, too. Anyway, she comes out. She's like, "Yeah, there's a cop out here. You got to come out." And I go out to the front. And this guy just like, "You're under arrest for marijuana or whatever." Like,
he just said,
"Fuck
are you talking about?"
And he just spun me around. And I got real mad at first. I was like, "You got to show me a warrant. You haven't said, the right words."
Yeah. You're like, what the fuck are you even
Why are you wearing a jacket? And then Tracy kind of revealed that it was a stripper.
Oh my God.
Then, but the gag was pretty good because I was drunk enough to not really be, I had no suspect. Why is the party still going on? Like
1 a.m,
you guys
cop shows up.
11 o'clock, a bunch of people like, "Oh, we're tired." It was a Sunday. It wasn't even like anyway, long story short, finally, it was fun. Whatever.
What inspired you to be the person who opened the Weed Comedy Club?
That's so funny that all the memories I'm talking about have never been about a show.
No, they're not about the shows. Because the shows are, it's like your club was like a hangout for misfit, podhead, funny people for years. Just, man, people even slept in the back because they had nowhere to go because they were like homeless comics for a little bit. There are stories of
no
comics.
one truly homeless ever.
Not really homeless.
Paul Thompson has a story he tells because I went away and I asked him to watch my dogs when I had both pit bulls.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, for sure." But he didn't want to stay in my apartment. So I asked if he could sleep at the club. I'm like, "Fuck yeah." And so he has a whole bunch of bits that he tells about sleep on the stage and jerking off on the stage.
That's pretty funny, man.
Did you clean it? I don't really care.
Dude, how funny is that? Paul Thompson 100% jerked off on that stage. That I know that nobody would if other people were club owners of legendary comedy clubs, they'd be like, "Fucking right, bud," and you're like, "Oh no, I make cookies and people come over and they tell jokes in the back of my fucking store," and in reality, it's this, man. Can I explain to anybody who's listening? Joey's store in the front was just a little counter with some mirrors on the left. You'd walk in, counters on the right. There's fucking fridge type thing. A little fucking antique cash registered looking thing.
Well, that's long gone.
Oh man, all that stuff. Okay, that's what it looked like, and behind it was like weed articles and like cutouts of weed things and hemp, and it was like a hemp museum type vibe on the wall. Man, and just close your eyes because this is where it gets cool. So it looks so like you don't even know what the fuck it is. Like, what the fuck is this business? What is this store? You sell papers, and in reality, man, you would walk past this little like washroom and counter that had like a sink. And on the right of it was a door. And through this door, things start getting magical. Right when you open a fucking door. The walls were lined with all the merch of all the cool comics you had in this cool show, like case. And
memorabilia.
Right side, memorabilia and a memorabilia case on the left. So cool. On your way into the comedy club. And on the right side of the wall, there was a bunch of graffiti, little pictures, little like quotes. And then you'd get to this door that didn't have, it just didn't have the normal door.
You're so
feeling.
high.
Dude, I love your fucking, you know me, man. Okay. I was going to talk about this earlier, but was how you walk through this room. So, okay, memorabilia on the right, all this graffiti on the, memorabilia on the left, graffiti on the right, dim lights, and this fucking door, man. It was like an old Harry Potter door with this old like brass knob, and the eye thing that you peek through was gone. So you could like
just look through the hole.
You could poke your eye through the hole and see a comedy club. And it was like a swinging jazz club. It's like you would open the door and it's like the energy would just change. It would be like a jazz club, people talking so fucking loud, smoke everywhere, old people, young people, fucking dogs running around. Like on the left, there would be this like little bar area where they were serving beer, and lining the walls was old clocks, old toys, old records, vintage shit. As far as the eye can see, weird palm trees, fuck books that didn't make any fucking sense as why they were in a comedy club, childhood memories of yours. I remember asking you, where'd you get these? You're like, these are my fucking toys.
It was a Wonder Woman doll.
Yeah, I was like,
still in the box, bro.
Oh, man. You had an Easy Bake Oven. You had weird Trump board games. And Yuck Yuck's board games. You had so much random fucking shit. You had
Okay, you know what's the other thing? I didn't buy most of that stuff. The Wonder Woman, for sure. A couple of other things, yeah, for sure. But most of that stuff, people just brought. It's like, left. Oh, look, you have crap on the walls. Here's some more crap. You want my crap? And I'd be like, sure, give me your crap.
Man, you had so much crap on the walls. You had like Fear and Loathing.
Do you know what stuff I threw out over the years? Let alone then when we closed the club up, I'm like, oh man, what am I doing with all this crap?
Man, so much crap. But great crap. Stuff that people would love. Like you said,
no, the next place is going to be select crap. I'm not going to accept random crap from people. And actually, I thought about it. You know, at the beginning, when you were describing how I have like vintage pictures of cannabis on the front room.
Yeah.
The new club, I want to have vintage pictures of comedians.
Wow, pretty funny stuff,
like
man.
big poster of Buster Keaton.
See, those are cool as shit, man. I used to have a Groucho Marx thing at home, like a vintage, still from a fucking movie. It was pretty great. Man, that kind of shit is cool. See, man, you're going to have a new comedy club. You're going to do it again.
It'll be fun.
Joey, man.
I like that you've been talking about it in the present tense.
Because I will never imagine it as
just
not
saying,
being here.
Thank you.
You know when you go in it and you see the thing.
You described the whole thing front to back in a present tense.
Yeah, because in my head, look, man, there used to be something called the Mike Rita Circuit. And you know who gave that name was K. Trevor Wilson, which was you would start at the Hot Box Cafe at 7 o'clock. Then you would scoot over to Vapor Central and do the 9 o'clock. And then you'd go to the Underground because it would go late. It would go like till 11 midnight. Just pure random comedy show. You don't even know who the fuck it was. It used to be Rob Mayo for years. So that was my Thursday night. And K. Trevor Wilson called it the Mike Rita Circuit because I was such a young comic. And I was always a weed comedian because I was always a big pothead, even at a young age. Man, your room was a place that I got to grow and become an activist where people didn't just look at me. I became this leader in the community for some reason. I don't know why the fuck they like gave it to me. But they gave it to me to be the weed comedian dude. And I accepted it. I was fucking down. I was down to be the guy who did dabs on stage.
I think it has a lot to do with like when you would host at 420. When you do big gigs like that and you do it successfully.
They dig you as
then you dig you in, and then that's how that works.
Man, how funny is that?
It's like you can't get commercial auditions until you've done a commercial and they start to see, you can do this, you can do that, or
commercials. I hate auditions. I don't know.
I'm just saying, but that's what it's like for a lot of people who don't get opportunities in comedy. Until they get that opportunity to shine.
Hey,
you know.
Okay, wait, here's a good question for you. Who's the worst comedian who should have been good that should have? Come on, man.
Oh, you're going to make me shame someone?
Shame's not one person. There's got to be one person where you're like,
who should have been
like a good comic or someone who's rude or somebody that like in your head that you can remember that was like, man, that person didn't live up to the hype. Is there anybody that like perfectly stands out? You're such a good person that in your eyes, like Mike Rita, you know me. You're going to make me, you think I'm going to shame. You're right, man. Most people came to that club and they had a great time. You could not almost not have a good time.
There's times when there is, you know, where a comic might say something stupid, but then I've never been the type to judge the comic based on that one stupid comment. It's if your whole set is a certain way, that's like a different. Dig on
the venue or something
but
like that.
When you smoke weed, you know, that tendency to, you know, we're not going to get those. Louis C.K.'s not showing up at my club.
Yeah.
Not worried about that. So in the end, the guys that do want to come to my club, you know, when you have a guy like Big J. Okerson, you're like, that guy's a fucking teddy bear.
Nicest.
He's just the nicest guy. Luis Gomez, the guys from New York who support me. Or, you know, Tony Hinchcliffe comes up and he says, like, the nicest things. Those guys, also because of maybe who I am or what the club is, they sort of drop their guard. I don't know. And they're, you know.
You're a good club owner, though. You're not club owners are fucking
I'm just
nuts.
not going to attract assholes. I don't have the money to.
Yeah, they're coming out of love for comedy.
Hella comics coming through, even if they have a bit of like money, you know, like Joe Rogan's the only maybe have some money, but even Scott Thompson, for all his fame, not that rich.
He's Canadian.
Yeah, that's
probably lives like in
true.
a nice townhouse somewhere.
You know, but you think that, you know, name any of those comics that I just mentioned, like.
Where
you know,
the fuck
maybe
does
Todd
Scott
Glass
Thompson
might
live?
be comfortable. I don't know. He's in LA right now.
Todd Glass was a jerk to me.
Well, maybe he was in a. I thought he was a sweetheart.
He was a jerk to me. I'll never forget it. I was like a 20 or 21-year-old comic. It's for real. And I walked into your club, and he was in the front room talking to some other comics. I was really excited. And I came. I was like, "Holy shit!" I literally just yelled. Like I didn't yell. I went, "Holy shit, Todd Glass, cool, man!" And this guy was like, "I hope you're gonna be quiet. And you're not gonna bring that energy into the club." And I was
he's very commanding.
And I was shattered because in my head I was like,
because he didn't know you. He thought you were a patron.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I was actually.
He shot you down before.
Yeah, I even said I was supposed to be opening up, and he didn't really acknowledge that he was a complete twat. But I don't give a fuck.
Todd Glass is very commanding.
I'll fucking headbutt him.
Him and I actually got in a fight when he was doing. He did a 3-day show at the club one time. He was there more than one time, but the 3-day show, what he did too is he went and got all black tablecloths and red candles and nice curtains for my stage and like just really dolled up the place really nice. But because we'd sold out like all the tickets and it was like middle of July, it was like how it's been all week, just fucking hot as fuck. So there was a trick I used to do, knowing that the wind come off the lake and come through the club if I opened up all the doors.
Yeah.
And I, position the fans.
So that you carry it through some like yeah, I get it. So you carry
he kept turning the fans around, trying to blow it out the front door. And finally I was like, Todd, like, it's not the way the wind blows. Like, you got to go with the wind. Trust me. He's like, well, I'm going to be the lad. We need to vent the back room. I'm like, no, we need to push the hot air out of it. And he's like, no, we need to vent the back room. I'm like, no, Todd, listen to me. I've been here fucking 7 years. You got 7 minutes to get on the stage. Go focus on your comedy. I'll deal with the fans. And then he just went, and then just walks off. And I went, fuck, man, I'm totally pissed off Todd Glass. I can't believe I just yelled at him over fans.
No, you gotta yell at people, man. What the fuck?
I was like, they know how this works. Just stop fussing with the fucking fans.
So I'm okay with you. I'm
and
like,
so,
you gave it to Todd. You
but
gave it to
on
Todd.
stage, he apologized to me. He just said, Joey, I'm gonna let you know, Joey, that I actually do feel the breeze, and you're right. The fans
should have headbutted him.
I was like,
do it for Mike.
Oh man, I don't flip out on people like that. Like unless I know them. Like I'd flip out on you easier than I would on someone like that. But
you're allowed to flip out on me. One time you were really mad about something, and I called you on the text. I was like, "What are you mad about?" And you're like, "Sorry." And then you gave me the breakdown, and then we became friends. I was like, "Man, see, man, because we had a great podcast going for a few months. That was great."
Yeah.
Fuck that
Puffcast. I want to start it up again.
Get the Puffcast.
I'm not joking. I told you I was looking for a new apartment, but one of the things I wanted to be able to do
record again.
Record again. And then if I have, a little setup similar to this, right by the front door, people don't even have to come into the apartment. They can just come in, get interviewed, leave.
This is the best though. Our setup is so nice right now.
I like this
This
setup.
isn't a...
All right.
Hey.
Oscar. That's the
Oscar.
third time.
That's the third time, buddy. That's the third strike.
Yeah. Again.
To go home? What is this? AC 3.5? Jesus Christ.
Good boy.
Joe.
This is Oscar, everybody.
Everybody, Oscar.
No.
Do you want to tell a little story about
Turn around.
Oscar, where he came from? It might inspire somebody to do the same.
He's a Cuban rescue dog. He's one of those little beach dogs. Oh, wait. I got to talk to a mic. He's a Cuban rescue dog. So he's a
commie.
fucking commie. You didn't bring me cigars, bro.
He's a commie.
Actually, he kind of smells like cigars. It's really weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's smoky, sweet smell.
He's really sweet though, man. Look at him.
Anyway.
We drove here in a convertible,
Guys, just
and
saying
this guy
rescue.
was like,
Don't get a breed. Get a rescue. All right, come here, bud. Come here. Come. Come here. Down. 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 All the way. Oh well. We just had a huge lull in silence. You should be talking when there's nothing going on, bud.
No, I don't give a
What kind
shit.
of fucking host are you?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I am the most chill podcast host, and anybody who's
We'll let 30 seconds of silence while the tech guys are like, you fucking talk.
No, I don't give a shit because I'll forget, man. I totally forgot that we were even recording. I'm literally watching, rolling a joint.
Oh my
That's how
God.
natural I get in these things, man. Eventually, so like anybody listening, the first like 2 minutes I'm pretty stiff and I'm still a host, and then after that I am literally just in my friend mode of whoever the hell I'm hosting. But that's that. One day I'm not gonna host for my friends. I'm gonna have guests that are my friends, and I'm gonna get fucked because they're not gonna. I'm gonna have to like break them down and make them my friend pretty quick.
I do sort of feel like I'm sitting in someone's living room.
Good. That's the exact vibe
Just
of
saying.
the show's called Sesh.
You got the money tree? You got a money tree here?
Yeah, man. This used to be a condo owned by like a fucking dude who did shit with OVO. So we have OVO shit all over the house too.
OVO?
OVO is the Drake company.
Oh, okay.
Like the rapper dude.
Yeah, I know who Drake is. I don't know anything beyond that.
At what age did you stop listening to the new music? I stopped around 21.
What?
And whatever the hell I was listening was just what I listened to. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I listen to new stuff once in a while. But most
No,
of the
I
stuff,
don't listen to pop music.
I don't listen to anything new, though. Like,
I like my metal.
Is that what you like?
So, well, that's my roots. Or a good
Where did
ska
you grow
band.
up? Oh, yeah, you love a good ska band.
I
You and
love a good
definitely-
ska.
You and I definitely throw on the ska before a lot of shows. that we
I
do
like
together.
good grinding hard blues, like Black Keys. Or I like, I don't know. Anyway,
Where did you grow up?
all over Canada.
Yeah? What was your favorite place that you lived growing up?
Depends on the... That's a shit roll.
No, it's a good one.
Look at you fucking rescued it. Looked like it was origamied for a split second.
Not too bad, huh? And it's that, like, I don't even have to poke it in. It's just fucking quick little one of these.
Oh, wow.
That roll looked like it was going to go to hell for a second. Did you see
It
that when I
did.
bumped it on the mic? I'm going to take
And sometimes those light papers crumple and tear easier.
God, I just love how high we are right now. Anybody listening can definitely feel that this has taken such a gear down. Do you still get high eyes? Do you get high eyes? Do you ever catch yourself with red eyes?
I don't hardly get red eye. You know what I get though is that I have natural bags right here, and they just start going down like this, and like my gullet or gizzard down here.
Did you call it a gullet?
Gizzard.
Oh man, okay, I'm gonna great character. Producers, what do you guys call it? A gullet? You call this thing under your neck. What do you guys call that? A gullet?
Gizzard.
What do you call it?
What
What do you call it, Morgan? What do you call this? What do you call it? Like, say you were explaining it to somebody. She called it a gullet. I also called it a gullet because when I was a kid, man, gullet. Because when I was a kid, somebody would be like, "Watch your gullet," and they give you a chop in a fucking neck. Man, somebody giving somebody a chop in the neck. This dog. You rescued a dog. How do you rescue a dog from Cuba? You have to like sign up for that shit?
I know a lady in my neighborhood in the East End, Toronto, and she goes down and does it. And basically, they're trying to build a shelter down there, so
to collect some of these stray
If
dogs.
anybody wants to donate, actually, she made these.
Why are we rescuing these dogs? What's the harm that's coming to them?
Oh, fuck, man! If I showed you a picture of him when he got scooped, he's scrawny, starving, mangy.
No, and now look at him. He's like your best friend. He just sits by you. He's like, yo, where's those treats, man? I heard that fucking crinkling.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yo, dogs are fucked, man. I never had pets growing up. I had immigrant parents who hated animals.
But the lady who I got the dogs from made these masks, and she got me to get them out.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy one of those.
So
those are cool. What do I do?
All the money goes to her. She's putting it away
for the dogs?
For the dogs. Well, her vision is to build a shelter. So she just takes donations.
Oh my God, I love that mask. Now I want to wear a mask. Here, you might as well give me one, man.
This is the other one.
Oh my God.
Anyway. I like walking around with it, and people are like, oh yeah.
I know.
like,
I'll tell you,
you're forcing me
How
to
much
wear
are they?
it.
How much are they? $10.
$10.
No, I'm going home with a couple. Those are nice, man.
All right.
Oh my God.
I should make you put the link on it. As I was thinking, that could be a good mission. I'm not working right now.
Man.
At least help this lady. Because, yeah, she goes down with another lady, and they just scoop the puppies off the beach. And Cuba's just glad to be getting rid of them. Then they don't have all these puppies, running around, bothering the tourists or whatever.
Man,
but everywhere you go through all the Caribbean, you go to any country in the world, and there's street dogs.
Street dogs just all over the place.
Just all over the place, just begging, and they just find food where they can, or they eat bugs or garbage. I don't know.
And then you save these dogs, so these people go down there, they grab some of the dogs to save.
But now you don't have to buy from a breeder, and it'll stop puppy mills.
What are breeders? What's the issue with these people? Like, yeah, what's the issue with puppy mills? What are they doing? Like, they killing babies or some shit?
No, they just make they'll have one female dog, and she's just pregnant forever.
She's just pumping out dogs.
Pumping out puppies, and then they'll keep them in cages. It's not in good, clean conditions. They don't get to run around. They don't get walks. And then as soon as they're able to sell, 6 to 8 weeks right away, and like pumping out more babies. Come on, buddy.
Really?
You were so good at the last podcast.
He's actually being so sweet.
You're giving him ADD, Mike.
Yeah, this crazy weeds that we're smoking. Thank you, cheap canna, you fucks.
He's gotten used to the weed around me.
Yeah, dogs don't give a shit.
I think it helps his anxiety a bit. I'm not gonna lie. He came with a lot of anxiety, and he was super needy and like.
You were telling me this dog's scared of like kids too, which is always wild. Look at him. He's so sweet. You're so sweet, pups. Okay, let me get back to this podcast. Jesus Christ.
Shouldn't have brought the dog.
No. Welcome to the.
It's like bringing a baby.
That was our 10-minute break there, while we actually just became completely normal people. We're gonna wrap up soon, so we don't, because I can just I just know where our energy is, and we're getting to that nice wrapping up energy, and I like it. When you were starting out at a comedy club, how old were you?
I don't.
You were like a waitress and stuff like that. Like
I started in comedy.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
Because I worked as a waitress at a comedy club called Comedy Wood.
Comedy Wood?
And it is no longer there.
In Toronto?
Yeah.
What?
Boris the hypnotist.
Boris the hypnotist. That guy's still around.
Yeah, he is still around. He ran the club. And
so this is
there was a big club up north in Vaughan.
And these are your younger days already.
For 2 years, they had a club on Bloor, underneath the Gabby's on Bloor Avenue.
Wow, downtown.
Yep, and so I waitressed there, met a lot of good cats.
And then that's how you got into owning your own comedy club.
Well, no, it was an evolution from there. Just after you're serving for a long time, these people, and you're like, I love these comedians. Who are these people? Oscar, come here.
Comedians are awesome.
It got to be, because I was like, the weed waitress. Of course, the comics are like, oh, I just got off the plane.
Yeah.
Can you hook me up?
You were the weed waitress.
So
holy shit! Can we talk about
that? There was comics that I remember from back in the day. Back then, would buy weed off me. I remember at one point. I can't even remember who it was, came and he wanted to get a set and knew he could get a 20 bag off me. So the manager fired me, and they had like a lot of bookings the next weekend, so they're like, we really need you to come in. And Boris actually called me the next day.
They fired you and they brought you back.
Yeah, he said we really need you to come back. We don't have anyone to work this weekend, and we need somebody to work. We're really busy. He's like, you can't sell weed like to my comics. You just can't do that. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll come back to work, and I promise I won't sell weed to comics on shift. But you can't tell me not to sell weed to comics.
Yeah, like you just can't do that.
You can't. But I promise I won't do it on shift. And I always honored that. I think he kind of did the roll of his eyes. He's like, just come to work and don't get in a fight with Duran anymore. He was the manager.
Shout out Duran, you fucking jerk.
He was probably a really nice guy, but we just would see head to head, and I was young, and
man, you started off in comedy
so then
from the bottom. So then
I would start hanging out with these comics like after hours.
Do you remember some of the comics that you originally saw and hung out with?
Famous wise,
or just even normal
so
ones?
I met Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz?
Yeah.
When he was a young comic?
Well, he wasn't young, but it was before he got in trouble with the kidnapping.
Yeah.
I met Mitch Hedberg that way.
Wow.
Ralphie May.
Did you get to talk to Mitch at all?
Well, here's a funny story. Is I would also, I would invite the comics back to my house for dinner.
Yeah,
like, you're traveling, you're probably just eating restaurant
food. If you're gonna tell me right now that Mitch Hedberg came back to your house for dinner,
he fucking did. So did Joey Diaz. So did Ralphie May.
Listen,
this is before I even opened a comedy club.
Mitch
I'm not
Hedberg
lying.
is my favorite comic ever. You need to break into these stories.
Okay.
Tell me Mitch Hedberg.
So,
tell everything. Just give me everything because I love Mitch.
Mitch, when he was here,
Joey, fuck.
How do I start with it? I think he played mostly at the Uptown Club, but then he did 1 or 2 nights at the Downtown Club. But somehow at the Uptown Club, he'd gotten in trouble somehow, smoking weed in a back alley with 2 girls. One of them turned out to be underage. Now, he wasn't responsible for getting these 2 girls. But what had happened was the guy he was traveling with, I can't remember his name, like Josh or Justin, Jeremy, one of those white guy J names.
It was his opening act?
Josh. It was his opening act. Found these 2 girls, and they had weed.
Okay.
And so they went back, and like cops let him off, but he was not fucking happy that this guy like had brought an underager, and like weed and jeopardized their visas and stuff. So by the time I got I'd invited him for dinner the next night, I guess.
Yeah.
And so he was coming on the Sunday, but the whole fucking time, he just yelled at this dude the whole time. And I was just like, I can't, I'm so uncomfortable just serving food for 2 hours. It went on.
He was just ragging on this dude for bringing an underage girl.
Why the fuck would you do this to me?
What a great Mitch Hedberg story. Oh my God, Joey. You got to watch him be completely angry at like his opening act.
Pissed, and apparently from what I understand from other sources later that was kind of a last straw moment.
Wow.
That there'd already been energy,
a bunch of like moments of like,
and towards the end of him hanging out, like that did chill. The guy just shut up, and Mitch just turned and talked to me,
and it was pretty normal.
It wasn't just the 3 of us. My ex was with me, and there was I think another friend of ours.
What was he wearing? Like normal Mitch? Did he have his glasses?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right, like some cool.
I just remember, like long stringy hair, but not too long.
Oh, so sick.
I remember. I think he had a leather jacket on, or like a longer style.
Man, I love Mitch Hedberg. I have a giant painting in my house of Mitch Hedberg because when I was a kid, I was about 11 or 12.
But I wanted to just hang with him and have laughs and have a good time.
Of course, but he was in the middle of this thing with this guy.
Just like, yeah.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Did he smoke weed? You smoke weed with Mitch?
Well, it's part of how we got talking is that I would always offer to the traveling comics.
Man, I'll cry right now, man. I can't even handle that. I didn't even know this stuff.
Here's another crazy thought. I got way more affected by meeting Joey Diaz.
Of course.
Because the first time he came, he just found out I had weed. He's like, okay, I want you to bring me a half quarter to my hotel room every day at noon. I'm like, well, I'm not a courier. Like,
I can't be doing that.
I'm on a bike. And finally, all right, fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. For 4 days, I'll just do this. I don't know why I felt like I had to do that for that. Anyways, so I did. I just brought him weed every day. Just went back home, went about my day. And he and I told him even like, why don't you just buy half ounce?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll smoke it all in one night. You got to be here every day.
Is that what he said? Yeah.
I'll smoke it all in one night. I can't. I was like, all right, fine, I'll do that. So a year later though, like we had, fun.
Did he already talk like Joey Diaz? Did he already?
No. Oh yeah. So it was the first time that I'm getting fucking. Okay.
Because it's a good story.
Because there's two or three parts to it. So okay, I had him over for dinner that first year. I remember that, and I was still with my ex, and we had a great time. And he was like sitting at the head of our table, and there's like 5 of us. And it was like he was just entertaining us, like
and just going
king.
off telling stories.
Yeah,
so great.
He's the same off stage as he is on camera.
Yeah. So I'm over there. This guy says to me, so he's going off.
No, unflinchingly. So then, had a great time. I'll see you again. I'm like, you know what? You call me when you're back in town. I'll help you out again. This is great. So about a year later, just calls me up. Hey, how you doing? Like I talked to him the day before. Like I was like
you were supposed to assume, Like,
huh? Who is this? He's like, what do you mean you don't know who this is? Come on, listen to my voice. I was like, Joey Diaz? He was like, yeah, I'm back in town. I'm like,
wow.
Fuck. All right, cool. And at that point, I'd broken up with my ex. I'd been with my ex for like a long time.
Amazing.
Like 7 years. So I was like brokenhearted though. I went over to Joey's in a shitty mood. Like, fuck, I got to bring this fucking guy weed. Fuck. So long story short, I get there and he sits me down and he's like, what's wrong? And I, but like a girl, I spill it. My boyfriend cheated on me. Just started going on. I'm like,
and he's a nice guy to you.
You're fucking beautiful. Why the fuck are you doing this?
No, don't lie to me.
Fuck off and stop your fucking tears, man. You're fucking beautiful. What the fuck? And I remember being like, he's right. And then wondered what happened to that dude for like 10 fucking years.
What happened to Joey Diaz?
Yeah, just because he went through that whole like kidnapping thing and just kind of disappeared. So I always wondered, whatever happened to that guy? He just like gave me, such good advice, when I needed it. Just stop being a stupid crying white girl. Just tell yourself you're beautiful.
Man.
And in there he is on the Church of What's Happening Now. He's just like that still. When people, anyway.
The way he talks, just the way he is. You
know what else is like, despite maybe what any, people might think of him, he didn't try and cop a feel at all while I'm sitting there in private, vulnerable, able to,
He was real nice and respectful.
Real nice and respectful and like super nice guy.
Then he'd whip out his cock and be like, what you're going to like right now?
I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah, stop your crying right now, sweetheart.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then, he's in the news for getting shit for being like, every girl who wants to do the fucking comedy store has to suck my dick before they go on. He's clearly just being a macho idiot that a bunch of chicks on Twitter are like, oh my God.
Did they sell him weed? Maybe that was their problem. Maybe he didn't do that to me. He like, I want to fuck up my weed connect.
I'm not going to fuck up. This girl comes every day for the half a quarter. Why don't you want a half ounce? Why don't you just grab a half ounce? Oh my God, that's so good. No, smoked that all in one night. How fucking great is that?
But it's shit like that made me want to open a club. Straight up, when you have experiences like that under your belt, and you're like, I love these people. I can't leave these people now.
Oh man, this is at Comedy Wood?
Yeah.
Boris.
And after they closed down, I remember, actually, I quit, or maybe got fired again. I got fired a bunch of times and got rehired a bunch of times.
Yeah, I got fired and hired a bunch too because I worked at a place called European Meats in Kensington Market. And they would always catch me smoking weed, or I would tell them that. This is a true story. One time I called in sick, and then later that day I was in Kensington, and I got caught. But yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
You see how humble you are? You just told the craziest comedy stories. I had Mitch Hedberg over for dinner. He was giving his opening act shit. Then we smoked some weed. And then Joey Diaz came over and he pretty much consoled me. And everybody thinks he's an asshole, but I know the truth and he's a real sweet guy. And then you're like, yeah, Mike Rita. See how humble you are? The humbleness just fucking, these crazy stories, man.
Well, I didn't make them up.
That's what I'm saying, though. But the enjoyment of your life is something.
We can't ask Mitch if it's truth, but we can ask Joey. Actually,
I know that.
Here's another name drop. When Felipe Esparza was at my club, I was telling him this exact story. He was like, "Yo, fuck," and he just picks up his phone and calls Joey and hands the phone to me.
No.
And so I had to Hi, I'm, Joey from the Underground in Toronto. Philippe is here to perform. I'm really excited for that. Just kind of felt on the spot. But then I had felt like I had to tell him.
Do you remember?
So do you remember back, in Toronto 10 years ago, a girl that would bring, and he was talking about it on his podcast, some girl who bring a bike courier. He would say bike courier delivery. But it was just me. He just somehow convinced the fucking waitress to sell him weed every day.
That's so funny. That's like a bike courier.
But yeah, so I was telling him about that, and he was like, yo, that's you?
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. And he was like, whoa.
No.
Fuck.
Yeah, because he knows, man. He hears about you, Joe talk about it, the Toronto.
Anyway.
Hear the Toronto
that
lady.
felt good, though, that to be able to remind him. And I had to remind him a bit. Like, I had to, pump his memory. He's like, oh, I remember that. That was you?
Joe, man, you can't tell me that you haven't lived a cool comedy life.
Oh, I'm sure there's more to come.
Oh, you're so cool. You see how you're like, what? This is just the parts of it. Man, see?
I haven't told there's thousands more stories I'm sure I could dig up, but I haven't got all day. Your podcast is wrapping up soon.
No, I don't give a fuck about
that.
We go as long as we want. We're high as fuck. See, the whole thing is that because it's a video too, people can just leave it in the background and watch. I have
bad ADD right now. I feel like I'm jerking around.
It's because it's because your dog is here and it doesn't allow you to. Is it? Is it this fucking? We started off with kind of a weird sativa weed though.
Sativa, that's it.
We started with a weird sativa. Now I'm trying to smoke this indica to bring us down, but it's not working.
Oh, the hard times of a stoner.
I smoke too much happy weed. Now I'm trying to smoke sleepy weed. I can't find some middle ground. Man, okay.
That's why I like salads.
We can wrap up soon. Anybody who's been listening, do you hear how crazy, the crazy stories Joey has? And I did promise you, man, I wanted to get as many out as possible, from Boyd Banks to the Joe Rogan stuff. Man, Mitch Hedberg coming for dinner at your house is too much for me to even handle.
There's one out of left field for you.
Yeah, because I didn't know, because I love Mitch. Yeah, I have a huge painting in my house, man.
I gotta write some kind of blog.
No, what you do is you wait for me to write the big book on Canadian cannabis history, and then you get your own chapter in it, and then you give me all your favorite stories, and we just make it like, a nice thick chapter. Joey, what would you call yourself? Would you call yourself Joey Baker? What would your name in the book be? Like Joanne Baker, like
I don't know,
right? You have to have like a cool pot name. People
Puff Mama.
Puff Mama. Oh yeah, obviously. I'm fucking what a stoner. I was like, man,
you need to have a cool pot name.
You're like Mike Rita.
Sure, I do. If you don't like it,
I swear to God, even in my phone, you're saved as Puff Mama, and right now I'm like, you get like Joey Baker or something. That's the fun. I want you guys to know, anybody listening or watching right now. Literally since the day that I met Joey, her name has been Puff Mama in the community. And right now, I was like, you need a cool weed name, Joey. Joey, man. Joey Baker or something, because you always bake cookies. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I'm such a fucking idiot sometimes, man.
Whatever.
You're actually saved as Puff Mama.
I'm glad that I can make fun of you and you can just run with it.
I don't give a fuck because I'm a moron. I don't give a shit. I know. Because as I was saying it, I knew that I was wrong because your face was like, Joey Baker. Joey Baker, Mike. That's my cool weed name. You fucking idiot.
We'll just make a whole new one now.
No, you have to be Puff Mama. You have like stickers and shit around the city sometimes. You just be walking, you look at a pole, you're like, what the fuck? Joe, as we wrap up here, is there anything that you want to tell people? Anybody listening, young weed entrepreneurs, somebody a waitress out there who might be working Yucks or Absolute, who might be thinking, I love comedy, something that you've learned in your years as a comedy club owner, waitress, employee, delivery person for Joey Diaz, chef for Mitch Hedberg, that you would want to share? You don't even have to, you can give it a couple seconds, think about it. I don't give a fuck.
You just gave me the widest question in the world.
I'm all about finishing up our podcast on
big,
very
wide question.
Very broad questions.
A lot
Anything
of parameters
that you can
there.
say to like a young female entrepreneur who is maybe in your shoes, because sometimes male club owners are the norm. Female club owners are not the norm, but they're the famous ones. Some of the most famous club owners in comedy club history. Canadian club history, 100%, you're number one. And then in American history, like I said, it's Mitzi Shore. So that means you're the Canadian Mitzi Shore. Come on.
I'm nowhere near her level.
That's a lie. It's a lie. It's because her comics.
Have you seen the Comedy Store? Have you seen
in the 70s though?
How beautiful
they just knew
and nice it is, and they have seating. They have actual comedy seating. I bet they have a kitchen.
Fuck a kitchen.
I bet their roof doesn't leak. That's why we had to leave the club, guys. We had to find a better place.
I bet you 100% of the time.
Everything starts somewhere.
Your comedy club
we started
is
in the gutter.
Closer to
That's
the
okay.
energy. Your energy, the energy in your club is closer to the energy of something like the Comedy Store than a Yuck Yucks or an Absolute could dream to be. Your comedy club is something where comedy truly lives.
Everyone's different.
No, man, it lived there. You're
I'm not going to argue
humble.
with
I
you.
am going to try to convince you so hard.
You cannot convince me that I'm anywhere near Mitzi Shore's level.
Man, trust, it's not even about the loot. It's about the legacy of what you did for comedy in where you lived. The legacy is the same. You might not have made the same money. Sure, okay, fuck. You don't got Robin Williams and Richard Pryor dropping in at your first few years. But you had Scott Thompson, you had Trevor Wilson.
It's more about just like how the business runs. Like she's a fantastic business person.
Man.
I said is. Yay.
It's okay.
I like talking in present.
I always talk in present too. Nobody's dead to me. Nobody's passed away. Nothing is closed off.
Anyway.
I love you, and I think that you
2.0, I do have a better business plan and more focus rather than just
your business
the first
plan
one.
worked.
We just
Everything
had fun.
Was amazing.
We didn't. Anyway.
I will never not let you think that you're not a fucking legend of that kind. I know in your own head you're like, no way, man. Mitzi's up here, but you're up here for us, man. You're the one who did it for us. You opened up a club that we could only dream about. You gave so many comics their first jobs, their first opportunities. People worked the front door for you so that they could do your club.
Mitzi doesn't live in a basement apartment.
Paulie probably did, for fuck's sakes. That washed up biodome.
Trying to find reasons.
Okay, you're like, I'm closer to Paulie Shore than I am to Mitzi Shore. No, listen, man, you're really funny. Don't fuck the loot. Fuck loot. It's about legacy, and I swear to God, it's the same to us, man. Anytime a comic talks about you, we talk about you as this weird legendary person. Even though you're still with us and we can just talk to you and call you, we're like, yeah, but Joey has done so much for the community. Thank you. Thank you for everything you did for us.
You guys done a lot for me.
Fuck that. You gave us the stage.
How much
I
miss comedians and laughing? Fuck.
Man. Okay. All right. Well, last on the spot question before we get out of here.
Okay.
If you could change anything that you did at the Underground over the years, what would it have been?
Save some money so I could have survived COVID.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I have to say I think I need to be a better business person and not be afraid to be successful.
Oh my God.
Whereas before, I just wanted to have fun.
Look, see, I got that closing statement out of you. Don't be afraid to be successful. Something that I am terrified to be successful. I have a team.
And it's a weird thing to admit that you're even afraid of that.
Why?
Because who wouldn't want success?
Yeah, but you know what success is? Putting in that extra little bit that you can feel that you're not putting in. You know? You're like, I do so much and I'm already doing this.
I don't want to be distant from people.
You have to. That's the sacrifice.
I think that's the struggle, is being able to try and be successful without isolating yourself.
I can't do it. As soon as I feel any kind of success, I want to be by myself in a room smoking weed, watching Simpsons. I don't want nothing. I hate it all.
Come here, buddy. Your toenails are loud.
It's not, man. Don't even worry. Fucking this. Thank you for ending it on something that cool. That don't be
afraid to be successful.
You're the best, Joey. Thank you for everything you've ever done for me as a comic. Thanks on behalf of everybody. I'm so happy that I got this interview because as soon as the producers brought up that they wanted you, I was like, I can get Joey. Joey's a good friend of mine. And then I canceled 1 week. Then the rain fucked us up the other day. We got this down. Rain.
We needed that rain.
Yeah, we did. We did, man. As much of a father as I am, the grass is good for the grass. It's good that water is good for the grass, man. But Joe, I hope anybody who ever wants to know the history of the Underground, I hope I covered as much as I could in a quick little summary. Even though there's no way to tell it. It's so long, and there's so many great moments. Thank you for sharing as much as you did. Thank you for all the cool Joey and Mitch.
Thanks for letting me here.
Yo, I wanted
Thanks
you
for
here.
letting Oscar here.
Yeah, the dog's been great, man. Everybody who's listening at home, if you've been listening this whole time, thank you so much. This is the Mike Rita Sessions. Make sure to check out the other podcasts. Make sure to check out everything. And follow us on all platforms. Her name is Puff Mama. We call her Joey if you know her personally. She was the longtime owner of a club in the next day, in the next world, in the next whatever the fuck comes after COVID. She'll be an owner again. Thank you, Joe. You're the best. Don't worry about your dog. You're such a dog owner. You're like, my dog's clinking and clanking.
His toenails are ruining your podcast.
No, now we're going to let the credits roll. And we'll do like the classic TV thing where we just talk right now. And it's over. Like the dog can come up. Get up here. Get up here. That was good, Joey, man. You got some of the best stories out, man. Thank you for showing the Joey Diaz one and the Mitch Hedberg one.
That was fantastic.